Hi everyone, Christopher here, and welcome back to another Fossil Forward Finds video. First of all, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there and all of those who have served in a mothering capacity. Um, it's a job I can't imagine doing. It's if you're one of those out there who have benefited from a wonderful mother or mothering figure, cherish them and make sure they know it. Um, Today's video gonna be a little something different. Been spending all weekend updating the spreadsheet, which is gonna sound very boring, I understand. But I wanna show you how I am tracking my listings and sales and so forth. This is not meant to be anything that I use for tax purposes or anything like that. It's just a way of me tracking how I'm doing relative to goals that I've set. Spoiler alert: I'm falling way below all my goals, but honestly, I think my goals were probably lofty, considering I have a full time job, new house, new kittens, etc., etc., etc. But yeah, let me show you what I've been working on, and I'd like to find out what you guys think about it. All right, let's go. Alrighty, so I got Garak here with me, and I'm going to go through the spreadsheet and try not to bore you all to tears. Um, yeah, so let's dive into it. I hope to do these monthly, but for now we'll just kind of do a summary up until this point, being today being May 11th. So at the beginning of the year, I kind of sort of set an arbitrary goal of trying to do 35 listings a day. So you see here, last year my goal was 30. I didn't really have a tracking mechanism like this other than I keep a spreadsheet with all my postcard titles and SKU numbers. That way, if, in case I type something wrong in eBay, I can find them when I go to ship things out. I can do a video on that at some point if you like. It has saved me more than once. But I felt like I did fairly good last year at 30 listings a day. But maybe I was just, giving myself a good old pat on the back. But anyways, this year I decided 35 listings a day would be the goal. Times that by 365, I should end up with 12,775 new listings by the end of the year. And that comes out to roughly 1,065 listings a month, fully acknowledging that not all months have the same amount of days, so it's approximate. So what this is showing so far is that as of today, the 131st day of the year, my average daily listing is 25.1 listings per day. So I'm definitely short of the goal. And here we are in the 5th month. Granted, not completed. We're only a third of the way through. I'm looking at roughly 657.8 listings per month. So again, down from the 1,065. But I think, it's not too bad. Considering, again, house, kittens, full-time job, and all that jazz. Some little color coding for you. Red means I'm below my goal. Shocker there. If I was at or above my goal, it would be green. Yellow indicates that I'm above 66% of my target goal. So, I could have made that 75%, 90%, 50%. For whatever reason, 66, 2/3 sounded pretty reasonable to me. So that's how I've set the spreadsheet up for the most part. Over here, pretty similar. The only difference is this is based on quantity. I'll be able to show you a little bit more why I do this in another page or two. But, there are instances where I have 5 of the same postcard, so it's only one listing, but the quantity of 5, which means the sale potential is 5 sales. We factor that in. I'm still short, but I'm not as short. 30.4 listings per day based on quantity and 796 per month based on quantity. These last two columns, that's annual. So that's if I stop listing today, that's what my numbers would come out to. So this is based on 365 days, 12 months, etc. So as of today, which I haven't listed today because it's Mother's Day, so I was hanging with Mother, and then working on cleaning up the spreadsheet. Um, to date, I've listed 3,289 listings. All right, this page is a little busy, but this is my daily listings tracker. I hope you can see these. It looks small on my screen, but well, we'll do it this way, and if it's too small, I'll try to find a better way to do it for next month. Um, but here, the way I have it broken out is I got various categories that I like to list into. Um, this will get refined as I go. Uh, at some point, I'd like there to be no other category. I'd like the assorted ephemera to be broken out into not necessarily every minute detail, but in some sort of broad category that I can work with. But in any case, each day as I'm listing things, I will put the quantity of listings in there. As you can see, postcards, unsurprisingly, are what I list primarily. I've so in this case, this is January. I listed 867 postcards by listing in January, followed by 230 trade cards or swap cards. At the bottom here, this is showing how I'm doing relative to my goal. So if I'm 35 or above, shown in the green. If I need to, I think I need to adjust this so it follows my 66% theme. But for the moment, what I'm showing is if it's between 30 and 35, it'll show up as yellow. So that's sort of like you're close, but not quite. And then anything under 30 will show up as red. So, you know, not there on my goal. But for January was a good month. I think I had that new year, new me fever. But I did 1,119 listings, which was 34 above my goal for the month, and came out to an average of 36.1 listings per day. This other column over here, this is the same thing but based on quantity. I'm not really going to look at that. It's my tracking on that hasn't been the best. I've set up a system to make it better here on out. But just to at least illustrate why I have quantity versus listings, January 2nd, listed only one listing. I only posted one listing that day, one postcard. I had 420 of them, which means technically, and obviously this would take forever to happen, but I have the potential for 420 sales based on that one listing. Again, I don't think I've even sold one from that listing yet, but the potential is there, so I like to track it just to see how that's going. I'm gonna just zoom through the rest of this here, um, because again, from here on out, I'm going to try to do monthly, so it's not as cumbersome. February listed 780, goal was 980, down 200. You'll find the theme is after January, I'm not meeting my goal. I'm just doing the best I can. Maybe 35 was too lofty. Words are pretty difficult apparently. But in any case, doing the best I can. As long as I'm still getting stuff up there, as long as I'm still making sales, that's really what matters in the end. But this is just a way of tracking against some sort of metric, some sort of goal. March getting even worse. I was short 482, only got 603 listings up. For a lot of people, that's a great month. For me, a lot of these cards, all of these postcards, trade cards, swap cards, they're $5 to $10 each. I'm not doing a lot of $100 items, so I need to get that volume up, especially since the sell-through rate for a lot of these is, in fact, much slower. April, a little bit better. No, actually worse. Cool. 534 listed, So short 516. I won't bother with May yet, really, other than to say, when I first started using the spreadsheet this year, um, I didn't have this for last year. What I was doing was every morning when I would get ready to start listing, I would change the number in the math equation here to whatever day it was. So, for example, let's see, today's the 11th, so it'd be 35 listings a day times 11 means that by the end of May 11th, I should have 385 listings up for the month. I haven't listed anything today because, again, I've been working on this project. Um, but as of the moment, I have 253 listings up for the month, so I'm 132 listings behind at the moment for the month. And what I was finding is, every morning I'd wake up, all right, that was the 12th. All right, 420. Now I'm 167 behind. And I was finding that demoralizing because this number, no matter how good of a day I was having, the next day it would always be worse. So what I've been finding is if I just start the month, all right, 1,085, that's the goal for the month. Every day, this number, well, unless I don't list anything, almost every day this number will improve and it'll never get worse because I will be putting up new listings every day, and that just seeing that number go down instead of getting worse, at least psychologically for me, is more beneficial. It's more motivating than anything else. The only other thing there's two other things I want to show you on this page before I move on. First is I got this running tally, so you can see how many of each category I listed that month. So in April, I listed 371 postcards, 77 trade cards, swap cards, 39 figures, etc., etc., etc. The other thing that this page has at the very bottom has my year-to-date total. So you already saw that number, 3,289. My goal, the 12,000 plus. And for the year, I am currently 9,486 listings behind, but of course that is accounting for the whole year, of which we are nowhere near finished yet. Move on to this page. This is just a listing summary, which is it's just another way of looking at some of the data from the previous pages. So in this case, I got that total column for each month. Show you the total for the year. So for this year, I've listed 867. This seems wrong. All right, I'm back. I was correct. There was an error in some of my code. Something that's been happening as I've been editing this is I sometimes find that in a different month I've added a category that I didn't list in previous months. And so some of my rows were out of sync. So let's try that again. So far this year, I've listed 2,207 postcards, 684 trade cards, and / swap cards, which is actually a little surprising, but adds up over time. And then 190 pogs and so forth and so forth. And then this section over here just breaks down the percent that category of listings. So for the moment, postcards sits at 67% of the listings that I've done this year. So it's, again, just a way of seeing what am I putting up. What am I putting up? And there you go. Budget goals. I'm not going to go over this too much. This is based off of Mark over SM Postcards. He has a video where he talks about how he set up this budget goal. If I can find the video, I will link it down in the description. But in short, what this whole little thing is showing is, say I made $25,000 in gross sales this year. Not profit, just gross sales before fees, shipping, taxes, all that stuff. and my average sale price is, I chose $7. You know, for low end postcards, that's, that's not too bad. That's middle ground. And then say my profit margin is 30%. Um, I stole Mark's number on that. I'm not a I'm not an accountant. I'm not a business professional. This is just sort of me figuring things out as I go. He had 30%. Trust the dude. But what that shows, what that allows me to do is break down. Okay, what would my profit be for the year? That means I would net $7,500. So, say $7,500. That's not enough. I need to net more. I can go and change this number to say 30,000. All right, that nets me 9,000, and so forth. Or I can see what happens if I change my ASP to $8. Yeah, bumped me up a little bit there as well. Actually, no, it didn't. But whatever. Uh, anyways, point is, for me to reach that hypothetical $25,000 gross sales, I need to do roughly, on average, $70 a day, $480 a week, etc., etc., etc. If you've seen my what solds, I'm not there, but it gives me, again, a benchmark to work against. This section here is just me showing where I'm at the moment. Day 131. My average is $41 a day, so about $30 short. So I got some improvement to do, and so forth, so forth, so forth. What you can see, though, is my average sale price is actually at $8.20. So I'm actually above that $7 um, mark. What happens when you change the ASP? What that's actually doing is telling you how many items you need to sell in a day to reach that goal, which is why the profit didn't change. For the profit to change, you would have to actually change your profit percentage. Put this back to 7. In any case, and then this last one is just, this would be, if I stop today, this is my numbers for the year. So if today was December 31st, my average sale per day would be $14.83. But it's day 131, so yada, yada, yada. That's where we are. Similar to that other sheet we looked at, this is just showing sales in the various categories. So if it's green, I've made a sale in that category that day, so you can see postcards for most days. 138 sales in January, which actually, now that I think of it, there was something I meant to fix. Yeah, for whatever reason in January, I forgot to update my numbers on the 30th and 31st. So my numbers are actually slightly better than this. I just got to go and fix that. But in any case, same idea. Yellow means I'm close to the goal being the 10 sales per day. This section here, we're looking at gross numbers. I'm not worrying about the free shipping and fees and all that stuff. This is just what gross sales I've made in those categories per day. Not surprisingly, postcards lead the way each month. Same idea down here. Yellow, I'm in close to that goal. That goal being the $70 a day. Red means I'm well below it. Green means I'm at it or above. Just like before, the total sales, I've sold 660 items so far this year for a total of $5,411 gross. And, well, you get the idea. This video is going long, so I'm going to kind of finish this up here. Same idea as what you saw before. Show your sale totals. Totals for the year of the category. So 507 postcards sold today, or sold this year, out of 660 total. Break down the percentage. So count comes up to 76.6% of sales for the year. And then I do the same things for dollar amount. And you can see that actually when you do it based on dollars, it's a slightly higher percent. So that's a lot of numbers. It went forever. You probably are not even watching anymore, but if you are, thank you. I plan to do this each month, but each month it'll be much shorter because I'm only trying to talk through 1 month at a time. Um, Long story short, this is how I'm doing my tracking this year. It's going to be a work in progress. I'm going to be adding categories, changing categories, adding new metrics. Um, but I encourage you, if this is something you like to do seriously, to find a way of tracking your data. Um, doesn't have to be for accounting purposes, just something for you to follow you and see how you are doing and, maybe areas you would like to improve. So let me know what you think. I know that was a lot, not very exciting. I have another What Sold video coming to you tomorrow, day after, something like that. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, and I'll catch you on the next one.